Okay, this is how to tank slave pins on a leveling protection warrior. This is a really long dungeon, not really time-wise, but as far as how much ground you have to actually cover while you're going through this entire dungeon. The space between the packs of mobs is really big, so it's really hard to get big AoE pulls, which is what I like to do whenever I'm running a lot of these dungeons. So I guess it's just a Burning Crusade thing that they have really long spaced out dungeons. These mobs right here are just AoE packs, just AoE them down. Really simple mobs to take out. As far as these dungeons, I mean, I wish they'd just like space them a lot closer together. There's only 3 bosses in here, but this dungeon is really spread out, so you have to travel and cover a lot of ground. These trash packs right here, you just have to kill the slave master, and these slaves will end up running away. So just throw down a thunderclap, and that'll aggro them all to you. As soon as the Naga dies, they all run away. So you only really need to focus on killing the slave masters. Again, in this dungeon, you really shouldn't have any problem with any of these mobs. None of them really do anything special. As far as trash goes, it's really easy pulls. Just again, you can't pull big groups because it's really spread out. A lot of neutral mobs in here that I just run past because I was trying to make this a pretty quick run, but it ends up not being at all because of some of the bad luck we have with our 2 healers in this run. The first healer we have actually gets lost about halfway through the dungeon, can't find his way back, and he ends up leaving because he just can't find his way through the dungeon. I don't see how you make a wrong turn if you're just following everyone else in the group, but he does, and so we end up having to find another healer. That second healer's not any better. He actually lets me die a couple of times from just not healing. As you can see, some of these mobs in here are going to fear. You may want to focus those down first. Not really a big deal if you want to focus those down or not. The fear's not going to do anything that's really going to stop you. If anything, it's just going to make the pulls faster because group members will actually aggro on to other trash packs, and you can end up speeding up your run a little bit by pulling some more mobs. But if you do focus them down, I think it is the Sorceress is the name of the mob that fears. Not 100% sure on that, but I didn't really worry about focusing anything down in this. I just AoE'd everything down. As you move through here, you're going to notice that a lot of the mobs in here are really spread out, and it's hard to get more than one group of pull. Just AoE them down a group at a time. It's not going to be a big deal. You're not going to go that much faster if you run and try to aggro a bunch of groups all at one time because of how spread out they are. So what I like to do in these is just go group by group and just work my way through the dungeon. It's a little bit slower than what you can run the other dungeons like Hellfire, Ramparts, and Blood Furnace, but you shouldn't be in these dungeons for too long anyway. If you're leveling up effectively, you should be able to bypass most of these dungeons and get into the higher level ones. As we work our way through the dungeon up here, we're coming up on an area where we're going to get to the first boss. As far as what all bosses you do kill in here, there's not much tank loot that I saw, but I didn't really tank these that often. I tanked them a couple of times each. Mainly just stick to the heirloom items and whatever is the best shield you can find at the time, which I'm still looking for an upgrade to a shield. Just having bad luck on drops. We're coming up here to where the mobs are not really spaced out, and you're going to actually see me start to do some bigger pulls, which you should be able to do. Most of the time whenever I run this, I was trying to make this a fast run because I was going to put it up on YouTube, so I didn't want to have to commentate over a really long run. Right here is the first boss, so I actually due to trying to make it a faster run, I ended up skipping packs of mobs where normally I would have pulled everything. Right here, we're actually just going to get the boss with this group, try to speed things up a little bit. AoE down everyone at the same time. This boss drops totems. You don't want to kill the fire totem, it does a big AoE attack. You do want to kill his healing totem, and he also drops an earth grab totem, I believe. You can kill that, but you shouldn't have to because the boss should just be standing right in front of you most of the time. Right here, someone in our group aggroed the other group. No, not a big deal. Just go ahead and pick everything up. Tank it all. AoE it all down as long as you get the boss down. Just gotta watch out for his healing totem if your DPS is slow, or else you won't be able to put him down. It's not a hard boss fight. Just AoE tank everything as it goes. And right up here at the top of this, there's two patrols. You really have to watch out. They could be on top of each other right here, or you could actually miss them all together if you went up the other side of the ramp. I just decided to go ahead and go up this side of the ramp because there was a mob there I could charge, and I was just charging to keep the run, try to keep the run going. Again, it's another one of the spaced out areas in this dungeon where you can't really chain pull because of how far the mobs are apart from each other. Just continue to tank your way up the ramp and you'll get to the top. There'll be a couple of groups up here that will tank all at once. And then we'll have to jump down to the second part of this dungeon. Here are all the mobs. This patrol, you could actually catch them at the top, or you can just... I got lucky and caught them all together and was able to take them all at one pull, whereas sometimes you'll have to take it in 2 or 3 pulls depending on where the mobs are spaced out at because they're in a patrol pattern. Just AoE tank everything here. None of these really do anything special. Down here at the bottom you see that ramp that goes up to the top. If you do have the quest to find the 4 druids, one of them is actually at the top of that ramp. I don't actually run up there this time because I don't have that quest, but right here I end up AoE tanking 3 packs all at once. It's actually a pretty decent spot because the patrols all patrol toward that middle of the bottom of that ramp, so you can actually end up getting most of these groups pretty easily. All in one big pull if you wanted to. I think we're going to catch that second pack. The only reason I was clearing these was because the healer said he had the quest for the druids, so we wanted to clear the ramp so that he could get his quest completed. As far as that quest goes, there's 2 of those druids actually in the slave pens, and the other 2 are in the underbog, which is another dungeon that is similar to this one. Right up here, this is where our healer just gets lost. After he finds the druid, he kind of just leaves. So I had to cut out a bunch of that while we were just waiting on him. Get some more of these trash packs in here where we just AoE tank them down right before this second boss. Second boss, really not a big deal to worry about. He does enrage at a certain point, and he does AoE frost damage to most of the people in melee range, but any competent healer will be able to keep you alive through most of that. You want to start off with the heroic throw and a charge, that way you get a pretty good snap aggro right at the start, get him spun away from the group, and then right there I actually spin him back around because he's focusing on someone else in the group. Not really sure how I spun him around, but I couldn't get him to spin back the other way after that. It has something to do with probably that I'm taking him on that uneven surface right there. He enrages, no big deal, you just take him down very easily. These next packs are where this new healer who came in actually decides to just let me die. So I cut all of those pulls out because he actually, I don't think he healed again until we got up to the top, and I died almost every pull. We ended up having to almost kick him out of the group there. He was a disc priest, and he was actually trying to DPS instead of heal, but he was queued as a healer, so I don't really know what his plan was there. But anyway, we got up to the top, and then we started AoE down some more trash. Up here you're gonna kill this pack. This is where the second of those 4 druids is. He's actually in that cage up there. You let him out and it's gonna spawn some more mobs. It's a whole nother trash pack that'll come running. Very easy to take down. You can AoE them down very easily. You can also, if you want to, talk to this druid after you release him out of that cage. He'll give you a nature resistance buff. It used to help a lot for the boss, but it's not even really needed. The boss does an AoE nature damage. It's like an acid spit. You don't really have to have it to take the boss down. If it wasn't for somebody being on the quest, I normally don't even let the druid out of the cage, because it just saves you a little bit of time while you wait for these mobs to spawn back here. And here they come. Just go ahead and charge in. Just throw down a rend and a thunderclap. Start your AoE tanking like you normally would. All in all, this dungeon is pretty easy. I wish the mobs were actually closer together so you could chain pull a little bit easier. But overall, yeah, I would try to avoid this dungeon if I was gonna go through and level up by tanking. Try to get this one as few times as possible. And it's not that hard to do. I think I only ended up tanking it 2 times before I outleveled the entire place. This is the 3rd boss. He does an AoE spit. What you're going to want to do is just turn him away from the group so that he only hits you with his AoE spit. Really bad for camera angles here, trying to be able to make the video is what I was trying to do here. End up just getting some really bad angles. You can't really see any of his abilities, but he just really, the only thing you have to watch out for is that AoE spit. Make sure he's not facing the group whenever he does it. He's going to target a random party member every once in a while, but he goes down very easily.